This video was sponsored by americascardroom.com. Use the code POKERGUYS to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000, and U.S. players are welcome.
They are, and guess what's happening? December 7th is the beginning of Online Super Series 8 with over $3 million in guaranteed prizes. The main event has a $200K guaranteed first prize. Not for the tournament, first prize, $200K guaranteed.
Them some bones!
Them some bones! There's also a free roll coming up November 20th. When you use our code, you get to play with the Poker Guys. I'm sure nobody's going to try to bluff us in that.
No, never.
No. The EPT is where Europeans with interesting names go to play interesting poker, and we've been breaking down a lot of EPT final table hands recently. Today is no different.
Alexei Boyka against Mats Carlsen for the EPT Malta title in 2016. They've both already won 255,000 euros, but there's 90,000 more for the winner, and here they go. They're heads up. It's pretty awesome.
This is a really exciting hand, and that's why it was suggested to us by a lot of people on Twitter. Usually right now I would say, here they are. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a Twitter glitch and we lost all of who suggested it. Yeah. We're really sorry if you're one of the suggestors. Sometimes, you know, glitches happen.
Yeah, the internet happens, man. We were live tweeting the main event final table and Twitter sort of exploded, and here we are. We're sorry.
Sorry about that. Anyway, we're going to break this hand down as we go, so get ready for some analysis.
They want to keep playing, so they're going to keep playing.
Yeah, excellent.
Carlsen, suited ace, ace-4 of diamonds, raises to 200,000. Oh, he's dominated. Boyka's got ace-jack.
Domination nation. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, I hope for his sake Carlsen doesn't blast off here.
Well, you said it, Joe. He might just be looking for an opportunity to just make this happen or make this end.
Yeah, I think that even our less experienced players are going to know that this is a perfectly fine hand to take a flop with in position. That in general, when you blast off, you're going to get snapped by hands that have you crushed like this. And pretty much everything else is going to fold or like maybe get called by king, queen, and you're even not that big of a favorite. So
I'm just worried that he's getting frustrated, but he elects to call. Okay.
Good.
Going to play the flop with the advantage of position. Obviously, if there's an ace on there, he's pretty much doomed.
I would be worried about, yeah, him catching an ace and then blasting off. Not too much trouble he can get in here.
Yeah, queen, 8 deuce with 2 spades. Boyka still with the best hand, ace jack high. Boyka has the betting lead, but he does not continue. He checks to Carlsen. I know, I asked this question genuinely, okay? I'm not trying to be unkind. Is this a bluff, or is Carlsen value betting ace high?
Yes.
I think, as usual, he just wants this hand to be over, so I'm going to say bluff.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's a bluff with the insurance of an ace in his hand and some backdoor ways out of it. He just maybe wants to take control of a pot. It feels like he's been such a passenger for so many of the sitting hands.
Painted himself in a corner here because he's basically got a pot-sized bet behind. Now he finally picks up a diamond. Does him no good.
God, you're right. I hadn't even noticed that. He's got 2.56 left, and there's 237 in the middle.
So Boyka happy to check call with the best hand. Boyka has now picked up a gut shot. He still has the best hand. He's still a 4-1 favorite.
It's so funny we keep talking about how he's got plenty of big blinds. Now all of a sudden,
yeah, yeah.
If he loses his pot right now, he's down to 31.
Well, it's a 3-bet pot, of course. Carlsen checks behind. We're going to the river.
Based on the way Boyka has played this hand so far, it seems like he really feels like he can outthink Carlsen, or at least get enough info from Carlsen in order to make the right decision. Otherwise, he likely would have bet this flop. When Carlsen bets the flop, it's a bit of a weird decision.
For sure. I mean, if you're going to bet this flop, we have to do it because we have essentially almost always the worst hand, right?
Yeah.
We got to believe that. We also have to believe most of the time we're getting called by Boyka, right? Players don't usually 3-bet check fold very often.
No, it seems like a weird play.
Especially on this kind of a flop,
right? And to be clear, when we say we think we have the worst hand as Carlsen most of the time, it's because Boyka checked. Right. Boyka's doing a pot control thing. It's not like he's going to have 6-7 suited here and decide to check, give up for no reason in a 3-bet pot.
Right, he would bet that instead with the hands with no equity. But almost all the times he checks, he's going to have showdownable hands. We lose to pretty much every showdownable hand with ace-4 of diamonds, right? So if we're going to bet this, and it's questionable for sure, I know you're not a big fan.
I'm not a big fan. Right? I don't think we're ever folding out Boyka. That's the real problem.
I think it's okay to bet it, but with a caveat. we have to move in on the turn unless the world's worst card comes. And it's really hard to come up with a world's worst card here, honestly.
The King of Diamonds is actually a much better card for our range as Carlsen than it is for Boyka's range.
Right.
Boyka could have Ace-King. That sucks. It happens sometimes. Maybe once in a while King Jack or King 10, but those seem like he would probably at least bet those on the flop because he would want to end the hand because he didn't really have showdown value with King High.
Would he really call also a bet with King Jack or King 10 on the flop? Very unlikely,
Very unlikely. Carlsen, though, he can have all of the King X of spades types hands. Those make a ton of sense, and we can rep those really well on the turn, along with just King High bluffs that we decide to bet the flop with.
Exactly. We can have the King 10 very reasonably and King Jack as Carlsen, and now we got there and then we move in. So if essentially we're only fading Ace King and we have a pot-sized bet left, it's a great time to move in.
Right. Otherwise, why are we betting this flop when we have Ace High, which is somewhat showdownable, but that's not really the point. The point is it's a terrible flop for our hand, and it looks like our opponent is never folding. So this is a perfect turn card to follow through on, and we just don't do it.
Right. So either we check the flop, that's fine,
Yeah.
and don't put ourselves in this tough spot.
Just kind of give up. It's fine.
Or we bet the flop with a plan in place, and then this is a great card. Almost all cards are, though, really.
Yeah.
To continue on the turn.
Which is a blank, the 7 of diamonds.
Yeah, 4 diamonds, no good.
And I imagine this will probably go check, check. Boyka does have the best hand, Ace Jack High.
I mean, Carlsen might take another stab on the river. We've seen him do that a lot.
He's got showdown value, though.
Yeah, that's true. There have been a couple of spots where you'd expect him to just call off, and actually he's tried to turn it into a value spot.
Okay, so Boyka has checked it. What kind of bet can he make?
I know.
Anything
What would
he
he make if it was a value? Yeah, if it was a value bet, what would he put out? Put out $1 million as a value bet if he had a hand?
He's been doing like a quarter or a fifth pot in these spots.
Did he just announce all in?
Yeah, he did.
Wow. He bluff shoves the river. And Boyka now has a really difficult decision.
To win the tournament with a hero ace-high call.
We've seen it before.
For sure.
He can see it. He can see the trophy lift. Carlsen looks pretty comfortable. I mean, as far as him looking comfortable is concerned.
Smitty says the shove's going to get through. Well, Boyka's going to take his precious time over this one. He's been thinking about it for the better part of 2 minutes. It's just that temptation, isn't it?
This bet is fishier than the surf and turf and surf again.
Too American, mate.
A bold move from Carlsen, whatever the outcome of this hand. And Alexei Boyka coming up on 4 minutes in the tank. What do Boyka's instincts tell him? He's been thinking now for the better part of 5 minutes whether to call here. Hero with Ace Jack and potentially win EPT Malta. He calls!
Nice call, they win.
It's over.
That is the last hand of the tournament as Alexei Boyka makes a superb hero call.
On the face of it, this looks like a pretty spectacular call here.
The face of it.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
The face of it.
Yeah.
On the face of it, looks like an outstanding, incredible call. In fact, we had many, many people, suggesting this hand. We think because this call looks almost like superhuman in some
a la
ways.
Steve O'Dwyer when he won the EPT main event. It's very much like that. Yeah.
But we think we can break this down actually pretty far so that this call almost becomes mandatory.
In a way, I mean, it's close still. It's still a really tough call and a hard thing to do. First, as Boyka, we're going to look at gameplay so far.
Yeah.
And we got to think, what are the value and what are the bluffs? And really the bluffs are just everything that's not the value because we're heads up and Carlsen could just be kind of going nuts with a lot of things.
I mean, let's not go crazy though.
Yeah.
There are some very obvious, straightforward bluffs that he can have too, which are missed spades and actually the missed gut shot.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But he can also have some amount of just plain air.
Right, like he does.
Like a little Qui win in him.
Yeah, kind of like he does. So let's talk about the value a little bit though.
Okay.
What does Carlsen have for value?
Hold on, I'm still working on that one.
All right. Yeah.
A set of sevens?
I guess, but
unlikely.
some of the time he's going to go with that pre-flop in a heads-up match with 45 blinds.
Some of the time he's not going to bet that on the flop.
Right.
So it's weird it's possible, but it's really unlikely.
Set of deuces?
Wouldn't he bet that on the turn?
It seems like he would. He's not blocking any of Boyka's value. It's a great spot to go for value. So it seems like he would usually bet a set of deuces on the turn.
The king looks like a great card to bet into if we have a big hand like this. King, queen, you would assume would bet the turn for the same reasons.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with any strong value hand except a set of sevens that wouldn't bet the turn. Right?
Maybe any random king, but you would think he would probably bet that on the turn also.
We're going to go broke anyway.
If he has any random king, say he has king nine of spades. So,
well, that's a good
Carlsen flopped the flush draw, and now he just has a king that's decent and is usually going to be ahead. He probably is not going to think he's going to get an all-in called by a worse hand that often. He might bet smaller. Right? So there's some value there, but it seems kind of murky at best.
It's hard to come up with hands that we're really going to get called by, which is one reason why maybe Carlsen moves in.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, what are we supposed to have that we're going to go all in for a little more than pot with that we're hoping to get called by when it really looks like Boyka doesn't have a queen and doesn't have a king and doesn't have an overpair and doesn't have two pair and doesn't have a set?
I guess we're just thinking about Boyka. We're thinking he has to fold. Which is reasonable, sure, but we're Boyka right now, and we're trying to figure out what does Carlsen have.
Yeah.
And it's tough to come up with something that makes everything line up throughout the hand perfectly.
That said, there's lots of times when people play their hands weird and tricky, and you can't always account for that. And that's not enough of a reason, I don't think anyway, I'm not sure what you think, to just call here and say, well, I can't come up with that much value. I come up with some bluffs, I'm going to call. That's not a bad reason.
It's not quite enough. So as Boyka, we move to our physical tells, and you can see him do it. He's staring at the board, trying to figure out what the value might be. And then he's like, okay, I got to get a little bit more data here. Let's look at the guy.
My dad always says poker is a people game played with cards, and this is a perfect example of that.
Well, let's look at the guy.
Okay.
I mean, look at this. Okay, so if you guys don't know what a soothing behavior is, this should be a video in, I guess, video dictionary. Is there a video dictionary now?
There is not.
Well, if there was, this would be the video next to the definition of soothing behavior in the video dictionary.
I mean, would it really?
This is insane. He's like, oh, the baby, make the baby feel better.
Yeah, so let's be clear. Soothing behavior is anytime you touch yourself in some way as almost to comfort yourself, soothe yourself. And this is what Carlsen is doing, all the rubbing of the face. But anytime anyone rubs any part of their body pretty much in a slow, sort of more massagey type way, is a soothing behavior. And it's almost always when they're weak.
Right.
Almost always it's a bluff in this spot. So Carlsen goes to town on his upper lip.
Yeah, he really does. We didn't show you the whole tank because it's really long, but we watched the whole tank, and he's doing it for almost the entire tank. He just can't stop soothing himself.
Oh, man. Oh, it feels so good, though. Oh, my God.
So it's a pretty clear tell. It really is.
Once in a blue moon, the guy's going to have a rash on the inside of his mouth, and that's what's going on. But if you look, he's not doing this at any other point in the hand until he's moved in, and he's waiting to see what Boyka does. So it seems very clear that this is a soothing behavior and nothing else.
Unless Carlsen's a master manipulator, it really feels like he's bluffing.
We're pretty sure he's not a master manipulator.
Yeah.
So for Boyka, and we sit here, we see the soothing behavior after we've already run through all the things. The only question left is it possible this guy is moving in as a bluff with an accidentally better hand like 2-4s?
Sometimes he is, maybe, but not enough to make us fold if we are 100% sure it's a bluff, or at least 95% sure it's a bluff. Because we think as Boyka probably that we have an edge over this guy. If we call and lose, we still have a lot of play left, and we usually win anyway.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, this, without the soothing behaviors, this is a pretty awesome call.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes sense. I get why he might do it, but it's tough, and I would really understand folding. I would probably lean towards folding myself.
Me too.
Against an amateur, especially, we're thinking maybe he's moving in with a queen jack. Maybe he's got that in him. But as soon as I saw the soothing behavior, to me, it's a slam dunk, no doubt about it. Put the chips in and win the damn tournament, because this is going to happen.
Look for this when you guys are playing live poker, because it's usually really definitive.
If you want to hear our responses to our favorite comments from you on this video, click right up here.
You guys like physical tells, right? I mean, that was a pretty cool video with physical tells.
An awesome video.
Those were some really obvious tells. Sometimes they're not so obvious, but we love breaking down hands with physical tells, and that's why we have a whole bunch of them. Click right up there to see them.
Yeah, they're great. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, check out our podcast where we go into much more detail about this hand and all the decisions surrounding it. It's called The Breakdown as well. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.